Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. We are here with our guy. This is our guy, Black Zack. You guys know him well. I know him well. So I go to jail, and I was at this hotel, and I was just speeding, and I was going back at that time. I was going from hotel to hotel, hopping, and I was how would they get the I think I was filling out the authorization form, and the credit card number that I had was to a MasterCard. The form was in Visa form. So when I gave the credit card number, there was that discrepancy. Um, and I was in the room. They went to the room. They didn't have to go far. They knew my exact address. So they knocked on the room, and um, I'm headed to jail. This is when I learned that you don't have to actually saying that someone scammed and did it for you is not a thing. The law says that if you are the beneficiary of a fraudulent transaction, that you are 99.9% guilty. I learned that day. So I go to the county jail, Falkenberg, Orient Road, and I'm just in this mood. You know, when you first go in, you're making calls. I'm trying to shift money around. I need this bond. Who's gonna bond me out? My mind is going 1,000 miles a minute, and here comes Madison. Like Madison heard the exchange between me and another corporal.
Well, first of all, you have to describe Hillsborough County back then and booking, because it don't you think it was hard to believe that back then in Hillsborough County and booking, you would be in a massive room, right, men and women, and you would go from section to section. Like you would come in and you'd go to fingerprints, and they'd sit everybody together. You could sit right next to a woman. When you were in booking, you were actually sitting next to a woman. So Madison and I got arrested at that time for it had to be, I'm trying to think which arrest that was that we met. It because I remember her approaching me and telling me, because I think I was getting fingerprinted.
Yep.
Or she went to the phone.
Because I didn't see you for a while. It was just I kind of saw her. She had said something.
Well, she got bonded out.
Yep.
She left that night.
But before she did, we made our kind of introduction during count time. So they had put us all against the wall.
That's right. Everybody had to go against the wall for count. Yes, I remember that.
Yep. And she is like, "That's Isaac. That he's just a big teddy bear." And then I remember that line specifically. And then I don't remember much else about our interactions because I was just so focused on trying to get out.
Well, she must have told you what we did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, like, so I think we got, that was an arrest in a hotel room. I think that was our first arrest in a hotel room. I think we had drove to town and booked the room, and they grabbed us from the hotel room because her parents bonded her out. I think her bond was only like $4,000 or $500, and her parents bonded her out.
Not so much for us.
No, I was stuck.
Yep. So we went from and how they worked then was you were classified once you get your charges. They kind of classify you.
And that's a process. That
That's
was
a
a
process.
day in a, like you're looking at 40, 35, 45 hours. Would you say about 40 to 50 hours?
Before what? Before you leave booking?
Yeah.
I don't remember that long. I know we were there for, I would say, a good solid day's time.
So 25,
Like
about 20 to 25,
Yeah,
20 to 30
the
hours.
clock definitely flipped there. But back then, it was like business was good. It was standing room only in this already large processing room, and
It's like a party. I mean, it's like everybody, you're in line for a phone,
Yep,
a free phone.
and back then there was no censor. Like the officers were brutal. Like they didn't mind disorderly. Will beat you into submission.
Yeah.
And that was a thing. Like that was their
Until that video. I think
until that
somebody
video.
put a video out online I don't know if they beat somebody to death.
Yep, they beat somebody. What exactly what it was a guy came in a wheelchair that was drunk, and their video only records video, not sound. So when he was just drunk, white man, and they're trying to process him or whatever, and he's being disorderly how he does. He called one of the no nonsense female sergeants the N word, and like she, that was unheard of back then, to just blatantly disrespect not only an officer but a sergeant, and she pulled him out of that wheelchair, and they got on the fat part of his ass. They got on his ass. So, but what the video reflected was just this horrible looking beating. Like, it shows them interacting a little bit, the verbal, and her just yanking him out the chair. He's playing the dead leg thing, because I don't think he was actually handicapped. I think it had to do with his intoxication and unwillingness to move. And they gave it to him. There was this lawsuit. All the cameras start going up after that. She was fired. And
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
But before that, it was wide. It was a party room.
Yep, they'll put their hands on you immediately. So fast forward, Zach and I go to Falkenberg.
Well, no. We got separated. So we talked.
The initial.
Because we were like, what are you doing? What am I doing? Because I remember you were doing the instant credit. And I think, what was I doing?
Something that wasn't instant credit. It was different. Because I remember when I was telling you about stuff and what I did, I could literally see the gears. Wait a minute. Why haven't I? Yeah. It was just going, it was just formulating. But so once we processed to Orient Road. Right. We had no clue. We got separated. So we were like, all right, good to meet you. Wow, that guy was interesting. Yeah, and we're separating.
And then we got on the same bus to go to Falkenberg. That's how we re-emerged.
So from Orient
Road,
and so
we're like, okay, where are you going, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up going to the same
dorm.
Not the same dorm, because you were across the hall. Because we would meet, remember, in the chapel. And then you managed to get moved over to my dorm.
I don't remember that part.
You don't?
Mm-mm. I mean, it sounds like something I would do, but I don't remember the earlier. I just remember us being in the same dorm.
Go to the same.
I think we went directly to the same. We went to the same dorm, and then once we made the money, I got the lawyer, I got the drug program.
Right.
And then that's why we would meet in there.
Oh, we did make some money in there.
Oh, you don't remember that? That was our...
Barely.
So we went into this dorm. We both met, and then like
and Trahan,
clicking.
Trahan was in there. The white boy, remember white boy Trahan? Joseph Trahan? We slept in the first. So I mean, at some point we gotta cover it. So we can cover the our scamming aspects, but we also have to cover, like you say, the people that we met. Right. Because when we were there, we were in the first cubicle. Like when you walk in the door, we were in that first cubicle. Trahan was the white boy that was on the boat.
I remember the name. I don't remember the face or his role in anything.
He was a white dude. He got, I think you left when he got taken out of there by the police, but I got a whole story about him. But we were the livest, the most live. Remember, my half brother was in there.
I remember that now. I remember that short.
Yeah, yep. Short, crazy looking dude.
Crazy.
You're like,
I was like, what a fitting family member.
And we'll talk about, we got to break all that down. But we were the liveliest. Everybody would come to click in our area just to kick it, because we were up all night joking, making jokes and making everybody laugh.
We just had stuff going on. Like we had we had opportunity, knowledge, canteen.
Yep. We had it going on. So we were the lively cut, and that's where Kinko, because he slept in the back.
Yep.
I think we were both on the front two bunks, and Kinko was on the back on one side. I can't remember who the other guy was on the other side. He was kind of quiet. He was one of those ones that used to just sit and listen. Like we'd all be talking, and then we'd look at him, and he'd be like,
"I don't really remember. I'm not really good at remembering like people if they're not,
in
in that
imperative.
inner circle.
Well,
I'm good at
Trahan
faces,
was in the inner circle,
and I remember that name.
and I'm
But
gonna
this was a while ago. What is this?
2024. When was that?
Yeah.
2004, 2005,
Wow.
20 years ago, bro.
20 years ago. What was I? 14 then?
I think you were 13. You were a minor in there, and we were abusing you.
What a good friend he is. What a good friend. But that beginning was crazy. Like, so we would get up early. We talking all day when I wasn't gambling.
Right, you gamble or playing basketball.
Or playing basketball.
Remember, we met Cole. Cole was in there. Do you remember Cole?
Nope.
J. Cole, light-skinned kid. Not J. Cole.
Oh, nope. Don't remember.
Are you serious?
No. I literally don't remember.
Cole was his first name.
I don't remember what Neil looks like.
Wow.
He could walk right by me and I wouldn't. I more remember the girl. What was her name? Tammy? Who was your secretary?
Oh, JoJo.
Was that her name?
Josena.
But she was kind of light skinned, heavy set.
No, she was heavy set.
Heavy
She
set.
wasn't light skinned though.
Oh. I more remember her.
Well, we have to cover that. But
Wow. there is just so much.
So we did manage to make money in there. Do you remember how?
I do. Convenience checks. So we were Neo.
Right.
Yep. And
Not
we were
Neo, Chris.
Chris. And so I had a guy here, Drew. He died.
No.
Going to that. Yep. He died.
COVID?
No. Why COVID? What? Ebola? He died.
That's where a lot of people like, oh, he died. What? COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the ailment, death. I haven't had anyone close to me kind of die, so I react weird to people dying. And I knew him, and we were personal. And then he died. I had just heard it. So I didn't inquire. Like, I think that's weird. How'd he die?
Oh my God.
But he did die, and this was a while ago. He's been gone for a little while. He was a great person, trustworthy. But I had someone on the outside. Zach had someone on the outside. Yep.
Yes.
And then so we would call Zach's guy. Zach's guy would send us these convenience checks, the bottom of the barrel.
What at the bottom of the barrel one?
Yep, because he was siphoning and keeping the cream because he had stuff going on.
I remember that was Chris for you.
Yep. So we were getting these, and we were in a dormitory with a plethora of accounts. Like people who wanted to.
That's right.
Yep. So but you mainly
You know what's
don't
sad
remember.
is that I forgot all this. It's amazing how it's parts.
Yep. And
But that's right.
Yeah, you remember certain parts. I remember
Because
certain parts.
I remember there was one guy that had all kinds of girls with accounts.
Yep. And we would get their accounts. So what we were doing with the convenience checks, I guess we'll cover that on the episode. We'd take the convenience checks and drop them into.
Well, you want to tell them what a
people's
convenience check is?
accounts.
Do you want me
I'll
to tell
give
them?
you the floor.
Oh, well, okay. So back in 2000, in the early 2000s, it seemed that every major credit card company was issuing checks that you could write against your credit limit. So if you got a credit card that had a $10,000 limit, they would issue you checks and tell you to write the check against your limit. It would even tell you on the check, deposit the check into your bank account. This money is all yours. This is way before online banking and where you can monitor your account online and you get text alerts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's an upsell. So like if you've got, good credit, they want you to spend more money. They know you'll pay it back, so they want you to spend more money.
But the unbelievable part is these companies would just mail out convenience checks.
Yep.
And so what we would do is we would go into people's boxes and look, it was one of those things where if we went in a box and there was a convenience check, we look at each other and go,
bingo.
they're everywhere. Let's hit it. And then we'd hit box, and we'd be grabbing them. We grabbed so many convenience checks. I would venture to tell you that we had over 100 different people's convenience checks.
No.
And we were sitting on that whole catch of checks. And every once in a while, if you wrote a convenience checks, it would clear. And I completely forgot all about that.
I didn't because that venture financed a lawyer.
Yep, it did.
So, and mind you, let me give you a little insight on Zach. So we met each other. We're clicking. We're talking every day, inseparable. And now we start to make this money hand over fist. Like he's showing this was his hustle. I just had the people, the footwork in Tampa. So we get an accumulation of money and everything. And I was closer. I was more of a pressing need to get out, to do whatever it is that Zach says, listen, take this money, get a lawyer, get out, and if you're as real as you say you are, get me out.
Well, because I had a hold in Sarasota.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to get out as fast as you.
But that wouldn't have stopped the average person from being like, all right, we made this 50-50. You were more like, your stance was, we've got X amount of dollars, take that money, get a lawyer, get out, get me out. So I gave you, I think you wanted like $200. It was some trivial number. And you were like, that'll keep my canteen going or whatever. And this dude could have $15,000 on the books. He buys the same thing, few root beer barrels, and whatever canteen he's going to issue it out to people. He could have $1,000. He's going to open his one soup, eat some chips. And then I think I remember you like eating chip and then folding the bag and putting half a bag. I'm like, who does that? I've never seen that done. Like you open canteen, it's done to completion. You've opened it. There's a reason they don't sell resealable stuff. Open it, it gets put in the circular file.
True.
But
I'm very frugal when it comes to that.
This guy, from knowing me for X amount of days in the county, gave me all of this money, was like, listen, get a lawyer, get out, and then get
John.
me
That
out.
was John, right?
What, the lawyer?
No, the guy that was the friend that you had on the outside.
That was Drew.
Drew, not John?
Nope, it wasn't John. John and I were going through whatever we were going through.
Oh, okay.
But Drew is the one that came through.
Okay.
Drew was the one that was driving around and
picking the people up, finding the people with
up.
the accounts. I swear I wish I could remember the guy that had all those girls. I think it was Cole.
I know, I just don't remember.
I think it was Cole.
We're glossing over the fact that this guy knew me for all of X amount of hours in there and like gave me all this money for an attorney. So
Well,
when
that's
I
like
got
7 or 8 bands.
Yep.
Bodiford?
Bodiford. I got Joe Bodiford. So and this was when I had, plethora of, I just had a plethora of issues. However, Joe was a miracle worker.
He got you the drug program.
The in-house drug treatment program. And upon successful completion, no probation, no nothing.
And that was what, 4 weeks? It was a 4-week program.
It was 4 weeks, but then there was a waiting list. So I had to wait 3 weeks and then 4-week program. I think it was a 6-week program. I just don't remember. Yeah. And I got out. You were still here. You wanted your Sarasota hold. You wanted McAfee.
Well, okay,
Brent.
so when you got out, I think I had just finished up with Tampa.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you, I got a fantastic deal. And that was the hotel. That was the Hyatt hotel we got arrested in. And what had happened is, that was the one where I told you I gave him the Matrix line. Because they put me in a room and I sit there. They talk to Madison. Once they finish talking to her, he pulls me out and he tells me, he goes, you might as well tell me everything because she already told me what's going on. I say, well, I'm sure you don't want to hear the story again. So he's going like, he goes, you have 2 options. You can either work with us and I'm going to see what I can do for you, or I'm going to throw everything that I have at you. And that's when I tell you I gave him the Matrix line. I said, but what about the third option? Where I can give you the finger.
Wow.
And you can give me my phone card.
So he left booking 7 days later. You want to run a movie line on me? I'll see this key.
But anyway, what had happened then was I had a public defender, and this is when they were throwing all kind of charges on me because I had rented. Oh my God, it's funny because I had some rental property that when I got arrested, or when I think I fled, that they put back in. I don't know if they still do it. If you rent from like Rent-A-Center and you don't pay it, they put a theft charge on you.
I heard that.
Yeah, so I had a theft charge for a TV, and it's funny, and so they put that theft charge. I had multiple charges, but I did not have a charge from that hotel. I never opened when they asked me, I never said a word. I never had a charge from that hotel because the way I used to do it is I would book the reservation, right? And it's generally that was Madison that was the one checking in. I was just there. So they never charged me with anything on the hotel. They never charged me with anything they found. They gave me a whole bunch of technical bullshit charges.
Right.
And this lawyer got it all lumped into a 5-month time served sentence. I'll never forget it. No probation.
And I just want to touch on that. And you probably saved yourself because you gave them the third option.
Yep.
So when the police tell you you have a right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you. There's no adage. There's no extra in that. Well, when they say anything you say can and will be used against you, but you may be able to help yourself if you give us a little. There's a period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
So there is no universe where like you're in trouble and they're like, well, let's see if you can help yourself. There's no universe where you can talk to them and try to con them out of that arrest.
No.
There are so many instances, and it's all over the internet with these interviews, with these arrests and all of that. People, and they give them all these lies. Something happens and you're getting booked, and now the detective or the police wants to talk to you, and you're, oh no, well, what happened was I had come here and I did that, but my friend called. Everything you say, they're listening because they want to hear your side of the story. Whatever truths they find in your story, they're just going to add that.
Yep.
So you're not going to talk your way out of those cuffs.
Matter of fact, you're going to add because you're going to say something that could go, well, who else?
That fits.
Yeah. Well,
that fits.
So there was somebody with you.
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. Then who had the credit card?
You
know what I'm saying?
No universe where like you get booked and you're going to fucking talk to. Shut up.
Right.
Whatever you say can and will be. So even if like if you get booked and you sit down with the cop and you say, let me give you the story. This is what happened. Such and such and such and such and such. Anything you say is hearsay.
Yep.
Anything for the positive is hearsay. Anything negative is a confession. Anything negative towards the crime is
a confession.
Evidence. Anything you say to the contrary of what evidence they got is hearsay. It's hearsay. There on no planet can you help yourself. Okay, so
and so I got a sweet deal because in Sarasota I had probation. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
But I was you were gone. It took a while. I don't remember what happened, but all I remember is one day we were talking, right? And when you got out, because I was telling you on the phone, because you were having a breakdown, I want to say. You were having a conflict. Because I'm telling you, I'm like, all you have to do is go here. I'm going to give you the address. Go here, here, and here and get it. I'm not 100% certain. I've got these other things. I got these plans. If I could just get da-da-da.
So what was it, hidden?
No, it
you
wasn't
were saying
hidden.
Here and
go
here.
hit these boxes.
Right.
And I had to beg you. And then when you went, you got paid.
Right.
And I said, isn't that amazing that yesterday I had to beg you to go make this money?
You say beg.
You go, yeah, you had to beg me to go
make some money. Because
that is the most craziest thing in the world.
It was foreign to me, and I couldn't understand how I could go in these mailboxes and discover tens of thousands of dollars that was waiting to be manipulated and cashed.
And you're like wow.
And then it was the time, because I remember back then you were like, listen, if you give me an hour, you're gonna hit pay dirt. And I'd be like, all right. I go out there, it's good 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I'm out of there. And I'm claiming an hour on my taxes. But like 25, 30 minutes, hit, 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 hit. There was always something. So that was a thing.
Yep.
During that time.
During that
Again,
time.
this is before anything.
Yep.
And that's kind of like a precaution now. That's kind of like security measures now, where they don't really send stuff through the mail.
So yeah, so you made a little bit of money, and then you paid for me the lawyer. I think I needed a $2,000 lawyer, and so you covered it. But I remember having to ask. I was in Sarasota. It's so many arrests. You know how you ever have arrests bleed together?
Like people ask like I'd be like, I was at Gulf CI, all right, the prisons and stuff in Florida. Yeah, I was at Gulf. I knew you at Gulf. When were you at Gulf? All those times in prisons blend together. Like I was at Calhoun at this time. ACI. I couldn't tell you a year.
Right.
I couldn't tell you a year. Like I know faces and stuff. All that stuff blends together. The arrests, the charges, because I literally, and I know you're the same way, because fraud is like that. I've got over 100. What was the number? I think I've got over 150 charges.
Wow.
Yep. And they're all fraud related. All of them. And in state, like one incident, like if you walk into, wherever, you've got a credit card, you got an ID, you grab an item, and then you return that item, whatever you gain, that's 7, 8, 9 charges with one incident. And I was a professional. So that one incident was, being repeated on a 4 or 5 day a week work week.
Right.
So,
damn.
Those were the time, and that was in the beginning.
That was in the beginning. That's when so that jail experience bonded us. But I'm trying to remember what happened to you. So as we're recording, let's take a moment. Somebody wants to say, can we say hello to Mr. Mello right quick?
Oh, Mello.
Yeah.
So do we want to pause this?
No, we don't have to pause it.
Okay.
I mean, you can put it in or.
Where's he, Feds?
Nah, well, he is. I'm here with Six. We're doing a podcast. Yeah, I'm with Six. He can hear you. He can hear you. All right.
That fast forward, that is a fella named Mello, which is a different
I was
period.
locked up with. Another person I was locked up with. It shows that most of my community are people who I was locked up with.
Well, birds of a feather.
Yep.
And in those situations, like in prisons and stuff, there's bonds that you form.
Yes.
Like you are with a person.
You're living with them.
Day.
We talked. I remember one time we were talking about something, waiting in line for the shower.
Yep. And you are with this person. I've held conversations in dormitories, shitting.
Oh yeah.
You're right next to. We wouldn't be next to, but we always skip a toilet. But we're having a whole conversation. There's that familiarity. I've been one side of the shower, other side of the shower. We're holding a regular conversation. You develop bonds with people. And then like I like jail, prison, you get to see a person's true form.
Right. Yeah, we can hear you better.
What's up, Mello? You're live. You're
live. You're live on the air.
You're live. We're filming as we speak. No, I'm not hanging out. We're actually working.
Oh, Six said this is a job. This is a job.
Y'all punching that clock. I'm punching my clock as best I can in here too. Shit. Okay. All right. Cool beans. All right. They got me running this damn poker table. So what I'll do is I'll call you back probably like.
Oh, you house manning.
Yes, he house manning. Hey, you need to call me back around about 4. What time y'all got locked down? Because I got Cyndi Lauper a concert tonight. I forgot all about that.
Cyndi Lauper.
4:30 we be on lockdown.
Okay, call me back around 4.
All right, cool. I got you, man. Y'all boys hang out.
All right. We're gonna talk a little bit about the people that you remember from there. But I mean, so we hustled, got you out, got me out. I ran straight to Clearwater to get, as you say,
Yep.
to grab my girl back.
Which wasn't a good. Well, I don't know that I knew. I felt that it wasn't a good thing. You love hard, so whatever complications the relationship had, you are willing to work it out. You're willing to find a way to make things right. You're just a good guy like that. How his bubbly personality comes across on that is absolutely how he is in real life.
In real life. Oh, okay.
Zach he is like the textbook good guy. Like his laughter, how he's so easy to make laugh. That's how he is in real life. He's just that guy, good guy.
So the people that we knew that were in that, so the people that we met along the way while we were there, like who do you remember from the unit? Obviously Kinko.
And that ends that memory lane. I remember you. I remember Kinko.
Really?
Yep. I'm trying to think of anyone
You don't even
else.
remember. You don't even remember Kinko blowing bubbles.
Nope.
Like that had me laughing for days.
No.
That had me laughing for days. You're like, I bet he's telling this girl because he'd be on that phone crying at that visitation, crying, and he had a pretty girl
Yep.
at the visitation crying.
She was very pretty.
On the phone crying.
I choose not to remember those times with Mr. Kinko. Kinko is, he's in the streets. Like he is, he does his thing. Solid guy. I don't remember when people go to jail, and it was, I believe, with him it was over the girl, and they got
I
into
think they got into a fight or something.
Yep, domestic stuff.
Because I remember her asking about it. She was like some New York girl or something.
I don't remember.
I remember her accent. She's kind of like, I don't know why he does me like this, and You don't remember Trahan?
Short black dude.
No, Trahan was a white boy.
Trahan. Oh, we were just asking about Trahan.
So that was one of the most educational times, and we never even talked about the instant credit, which was huge.
Yeah.
Like you said, the wheels went to turning. So we can come back and talk about how you gave that to me, and then what I turned it into.
Right.
Into.
Because he and I had two separate styles,
Right,
and things that we did. Like he did primarily like banking stuff and all of that, and I was
paper
more
checks, banking.
Yep, and I was more into like the identity theft and assuming that identity and going into department stores or whatever, getting the instant credit. And once this guy got wind of like the instant credit angle, he was just like, oh, all these things just started shifting into place for him. Zoom, 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 because he can incorporate that into what he was doing. And like, it definitely took off because after we met and you got out and all of that, I actually got locked up and did prison time.
And when you got out, we brought you in and tell you this is how we're doing the instant credit. And we had become monsters.
But to rewind, we brought you in. While I was in there, he contacts me via this letter, and I get this U.S. Postal Service.
Well, I just got out. I had got out.
See, I didn't know that. I just figured because of the lump sum of money I got, I was like, oh, okay, he's out. He's doing his thing. and the letter that I got from him was so encrypted. It came from Steven Shredder.
Oh, you remember that?
Oh, I was in confinement for some weird fight that I had that it wasn't even on me. I just hated that the guy was arguing with the other guy so loud. I'm like, bro, you got to keep it down. Oh, what's such. Okay, so time out. I'm not him. I'll beat you up. That's him. So we get into it, and I'm not gonna argue. I'm just gonna go beat you up, and we'll just worry about the disrespect next time. So I'm in confinement, and my money was okay. I got the $50 money orders, $100 money orders, but I would end my money. I'd run out and be waiting on the next, and then I got a money order for a band, $1,000. So in getting a money order in jail in confinement for $1,000 was torture. This money burned my pocket for that. It was all that I would think of, but I knew it was from Zach because it said it was this overnight USPS big old envelope, and then inside of it was the smaller envelope. Inside of it was this typed up letter from Steven Treader. I had no clue who that was, and because I didn't know, knew it was Zach.
Because you didn't know who it was.
I knew immediately it was you. Just the
With a phone
style of
number.
letter with a phone number, and the letter was like, "Hey, me and Madison are writing a book, and we want you to be involved." And I read everything, all the whole message that he sent between the lines. I read it clearly.
Really?
I was like, he's doing it, and we want you to be a part of what we're doing. Yep. You got it. And this was back before like the phone calls, prison jail phone calls were expensive. This guy had a secretary. I would call her. She would call him. We would speak very briefly. Who wants to talk to Zach? I want to talk to these hoes. So, all right, call you back. This girl would faithfully make any and every call. All right, the money's running low. I'm going to call Zach. He'll replenish the call. Or the money on the phone, call Zach, tell Zach to send me some more money. It's in the air. But you would have to know Zach. But he is
Steven Shredder.
Yep. I remember that. Steven Shredder. So yeah, that time was easy time. Easy and hard, because when you have money, it's a different complexity to time. But so when I got out, I went directly to work with Zach, and like Zach was like, "Hey man, take a week off, just kind of chill out." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a plan." 2 days later, yeah, I'm ready. I can't sleep, and all I can think about is the millions that is sitting waiting for me in Atlanta. So I was gone, 2 years? I did a 2.5-year bid, maybe 2 years. That was my rest up time.
But you were gone. Were you gone before I got out? Is that what happened?
No, while you were out. So because when I got out, we went to interacting and stuff. I believe that was the Kinko incident where, okay, here's the totality of it. We were doing our thing in Tampa. You got back with Madison, and there was a rift between me and Madison, and because I wanted to do something different than what you guys were accustomed to doing. And I had said, we need to stop nickel and diming and start big timing. She took that as offensive because she felt like she was the brains and not so. And I think she had some kind of, I don't know about jealousy, but like we were doing stuff, and
She didn't want everything had to go
through her
through
mind.
her. Oh, yep.
Yep. So there was that rift, and when I said that that was the end of that. We were cordial, but like I understood that that's your woman, and there's that. So we kind of broke us off cordially, and so you went up top to Atlanta. I stayed down here, and then fast forward, you guys had been in contact with Kinko. Kinko had a guy. Kinko didn't trust you guys. So you're like, hey, here's the deal. If you bring him up here, so Kinko can feel, you guys would pay me. And I think it was like $1,000, $1,500. I was like, yep, sign me up. So I went up there, and like day one, there was something. It was like Madison was either ready for me to go or whatever. I didn't wind up staying. Remember, there was some type of rift or whatever. So I just wanted assistance in what I was doing. I think you went behind her back or something. I don't know, but or there was issues with you
Probably
getting me
because
an ID.
so many times it was like unreasonable. Like I remember talking to her and like you got to explain to me why this is going on, and she couldn't. And rather than break, or she'd give me some explanation that I'm
just
like
didn't-
that's not gonna cut it. Well, I'm your woman. Da, da, da. I'm like, okay, sit down. So then I would go.
So let me ask you during those times, was she actively sneaking drugs?
No. I think she let the hustle become her drug. And I think
So that was just her personality shining.
I think without it, I think the drugs mellowed and calmed her. And I think without it is why she wanted turmoil. I think that her brain went to, I think the drugs, even though I think it has a hyper effect, I think it used to mellow her out, or it would drown some of her thoughts. And I think without it, her thoughts were coming too fast, and so everything felt like it was threatening, and her insecurity grew. You know what I'm saying? Even though we spent every day, every minute of every day together. Yeah, it's like if I even talked to somebody and she didn't know, it would drive her crazy. You know, and I think she lived through me. So. But,
Because I don't think she could have a social network of friends without the influence of money and stuff. Because from what I saw, like you guys, this whole circle were people that were benefiting from you in some aspect. So she had that degree of power and influence over her inner circle, and I think she mistook that as friendship, where people would just deal with people liked you and dealt with her.
yeah.
And that doesn't I hate to. I'm not a talk about people person. I'm just stating, but I will state facts about folks, and that's why I thought like there was some type of drug thing, because her personality at that time was so abrasive.
Yeah. Angry.
And it's literally night and day with you guys. That's how I know like opposites attract, because it's your personalities are completely black and white, like completely. But anyway, like she's in a better place now and stuff, and she's doing all right.
All right. So what I was thinking is, all right. Well, we're going to talk about the instant credit, but I think I want to talk about the couple of people we knew. Trahan was the white guy that slept on the boat. I remember him because he came in and he slept on the boat right at my feet.
Do you remember what his first name was?
Yeah, Joseph Trahan. I worked with him while you were in jail. When you were in jail, he in Florida Department of Corrections. You gonna look him up?
I am.
His picture. I worked with him while you were in jail. So when you were in jail and we were out, that's who I worked with.
I didn't know.
She had a riff with him, but
That is a shock.
anyway, I don't know if you can remember the layout. If you go back, wait a minute. Was I in the front and you in the back, or were we both in the front? Do you remember?
You weren't in my cubicle.
I was in your cubicle. Remember, a cubicle is my bunk, your bunk, that bunk, that bunk. Right, and then there's a cubicle right by the door is bunk, double bunk.
And weren't we both up front?
I thought we were both up front.
Like in the cubicle.
Both of us up front.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, I had the boat next to my bed. So when I laid down, the boat is next to my head. Mm-hmm. It wasn't next to yours, it was next to mine. Joseph Trahan came in one day, and he got the boat right in front of our bed, right in front of our cube. And we started talking to him. And he taught me, he was a check writer. And he was the guy that was telling me that he had a girl that used to work at a bank, and she told him that if you have like $3,000 in a bank account, right, and somebody writes you a check, they will cash that check against the $3,000 in your account, but they won't touch the $3,000 in your account. Meaning, if you got $2,000 in your account and I wrote you a $1,500 check, you could cash that check. Then you could go take another $1,500 check, cash it. Like you could cash like 5 or 6 checks in different branches against the money in the bank, and they wouldn't touch your money. And so now you've taken $1,500, and let's say you did 4 checks, and you've just made what, $6,000. Then you take your $1,500 out of that bank.
How you spell Trahan?
Trajan, or HAN. Trey HAN. I'm gonna remember Cole's first name. I'm gonna find him because he's in my paperwork. He went to Feds.
I looked him up with DOC.
He's there.
He's in DOC?
No, he's not in DOC. He was in DOC, Florida DOC.
I guess you have to be active.
No, you could just pick all. Big old heavyset white dude. He served I think he got out in 2002. Hey, by the way, do you remember the guy? I'm gonna think of his name. You referred to me somebody that it was a partner of yours that got out, and you said, I think he'll be an excellent worker. And he ended up being an excellent worker. I'm gonna think of his name. Oh man, you referred a very good worker. I talk about him all. I gotta remember his name. He was hilarious. He was hilarious. If you thought I was funny, he was hilarious.
Really?
Yes. So let me tell you a fun, and I don't know if I ever
That
told.
was not a yes or no immediately. So
Yes. He was, but him and Madison got on. But he got out of. He ended up going to prison. And he got out of prison. He was one of the ones I wrote and sent the $1,000 to, like you. When he got out, he wanted to come immediately up. So, oh man, you know what I just thought about? Didn't we send somebody to pick you up from jail and they got
went
arrested?
to jail. Yep. He sent someone. He got him a rental car and everything. I think they had clothes in the car for me, like an outfit.
And
so,
didn't I give you a phone? How'd you end up? Because you ended up calling.
So I was in confinement to get released. I got into another fight. So I was being released from in confinement. I wrote to that guy. And I was like, yeah, man, I get out such and such. He's going to set you up with a car and everything. Bring me a blunt. I want to smoke. And they were waiting for him outside. And they checked the car and all of that or whatever. They found it. He was on probation.
Oh, my God.
Driving up here to pick up this felon. Introduction of contraband they tried to hit him with. They tried to give him this whole schmeal. This whole thing. We
got him out of there though, didn't we?
Well, yep. So he wound up. It wound up being beneficial because they squashed it. He was in there about 2 weeks, and they squashed everything. He wasn't a troublemaker, but yeah. And like I didn't know what happened, so I'm just in and it's 10 o'clock.
Well, you called
11
me.
o'clock.
You're somebody. Obviously, he's been. How did we end up getting you from there?
They put me on a bus, right?
I don't
was
remember
that time
because you had called me, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna send you money. How do we get you money?"
Did I call you from my sister's place or call me from up?
You called me when you were there because you were walking, because you were kind of out of breath.
And
I don't know exactly what's going on.
Okay, I remember. So, it was the EOS time, so they let me EOS, and they gave me a bus ticket. So they brought me from that jail to a bus station. That bus station, we were on the bus, and it went to Tallahassee. And then from Tallahassee, that's when I made all the calls.
Oh, but that's when you found out John was it John that came and got you?
Oh, this cat was named Mike.
Oh, so Mike was coming to pick you up, and he had got arrested, but you called me and told me he was arrested.
Yeah, because they told me.
And
like,
I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what? Who?
Yeah, I was like, where's my ride? And he was like, oh yeah, and they kept faking like, oh, I don't know what happened. Of course you know what happened. I'm positive that was officer news. That was a big one for them. We got a dummy came here and told us what he was going to do, and sure enough, he had the blunt.
That's right. Let's go. Take him in.
I have been an enemy of the state ever since.
Oh my goodness.
That's just nasty for a facility for those people to have that disposition. Like somebody is getting out of jail, someone drove all this way, and we're just going to sit and plot and wait on them and make the arrest. So I'm going to arrest him, put him in jail, and have this other guy sit in jail longer over
a blunt.
And he probably had like a dub, a 3.5, a weed or whatever. But it takes a special person.
So anyway, I wanted to work directly with Trahan. And when he got out of jail, somebody went and got him. I had Junior, the guy that worked with JoJo, the secretary. He drove down.
I remember that name.
And picked him up and brought him all the way back to Atlanta. So by this time, I was doing booking the rooms. You know, I booked the room with the credit card. Listen, by the way, I was working with Neo then. And we were really starting to feel ourselves because they were doing the fake IDs and it wasn't me. I mean, we were really he was expanding our game.
And then not only did you had the resources.
Yes.
So you had all these ideas and resources.
Yes.
A plethora of supplies.
So so he brought him up. So what I told him is, so I got him a cell phone. So what I did was I booked him a room. So it ended up, I don't know what happened, but he was supposed to be there at 6, and I was going to meet him. We were going to go grab something to eat, and, I was going to talk to him and get him set up and lined up. Of course, I had to introduce him to Madison. That was a requirement. I need to meet him. He needs to know who I am. Yes, okay, I got you. So what happened was something got delayed. He got out later. Something happened where he didn't get out on time, and he wasn't going to get in until about 9 o'clock. So I told him, I said, look, bro, why don't we just meet in the morning? So I'll book your hotel room. So I booked this hotel room, bought him a cell phone, put the cell phone in the room. I think I left how did I do that? I think I either gave a key card to JoJo. Somehow or another, he didn't have to meet me. They gave him a key card. Him and I had never met. So, but I checked him into the room, got in the room, gave him a key card, left the key card for him, and left. So he called. He said, all right, I'm in the room. I told him, how I used to do those rooms. You can get room service. So you can order room service.
That was mandatory.
That was mandatory. So he ordered room service. He said he took a shower. Like he said he had just got up there, took a shower, talked to me, ordered room service. There's a knock at the door. He's in a bathrobe. When he opens the door, it's the police. So they come barging in, right? And they're like, okay, who is the guy that booked you this room? Because they're like, look, this room was booked with a fraudulent credit card. We need to know who the guy was that booked you this room. Who was the guy? And he's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. He tried to play it off. But he goes, nah, you need to tell us. You need to talk right now. Who was the guy? And he goes, all right. He gave him some fictitious name or some name that I guess I gave him. Might have been Michael Shredder or whatever the name was I wrote that I used to write on the letters, right? So they're like, who is he to you? How do you know this guy, right? And he said, he told him, he goes, look, man, I got turned out in prison. He said, both of them cops looked at each other.
We don't even want to deal with that. Okay.
They let him go. Like, you can go. He told him, like, look, I got turned out in prison, man. I mean, these black dudes, you know what I'm saying?
And the thing is with, like, excuses to the cops. Like, you have to, I'm not sure why, like, I see when situations happen, like, people are surprised when and they get caught and okay, no, but see what happened was you got to be on top of your game. Now you got to plan for, and I'm not saying this to speak on committing crimes or nothing. What I'm saying is in every single thing that you do, plan.
Yep.
Have an out.
Well, I think he's just fast on his feet.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you, what was so funny is they sent him packing. Like, they let him put his clothes back on. They wouldn't give him the phone. They told him that the phone that I had bought him was bought with illegal money, which I don't know how they could do that. So they let him go. So he went to the phone booth and called JoJo, who called me. He had to call her collect, right? And this is that's when I first met him. I had to go pick him up. And me and Madison laughed at that so hard. Like, I'm going, that is that is a brilliant.
That's brilliant because it makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, well.
Well, we don't want to investigate that, so we'll take that at face value. But everything kind of fit.
Yeah.
He's a prison ex-con. He
just
got out of jail. So we know it's not you. You don't have the resources to do this type of thing. Where'd you get it from? Oh, yeah, I just got out. And my boyfriend with a large penis. They were like, okay, well, that case is closed.
Because I don't want to write that up. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Can you describe the penis?
Slowly.
Get a recording.
No, yeah, video this. I'm definitely going to want to take this home.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, Joseph Trahan was one. Naturally, my half brother was there, who had been arrested multiple times for failing to report as a predator or sex offender. And he looked like a Black Gomez. He's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I remember specifically.
So what had happened to him was, like maybe 12 years prior to us meeting, he used the bathroom outside, and I guess they claimed that some kids saw him peeing, and so they registered him as a sex offender, gave him probation, and told him he had to register as a sex offender. And he says, "I'm not a sex offender, therefore I'm never going to register." And so he goes to jail, in and out of jail, because he says, "I'm not a sex offender." And that's his cycle of life. That's what he's destined to.
You know what? I've heard a lot of those, the sex offender stuffs and things, and I don't know his specific case.
But that's his specific case. It's because I was trying to help him.
I've never been in a situation where I have my member out around kids.
Me either.
I have never, and everybody that I know has never been in that type of situation. On the flip side, every sexual offender that I've met never really admit to it. Yep, you know what, you're right.
No, because I was trying to help him.
So do you? Well, I don't want to ask.
Well, no, he used the bathroom near a dumpster, and I mean, the people at the restaurant claimed that their kids could see him, and
why would they want to, like, if you're, put yourself like in the restaurant owners, why would I want to specifically call the police on them? Because that's a common occurrence. People piss in their dumpsters. So where are they where I need to call the police on that situation? Was he homeless?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
I mean,
now things fit a little bit better.
But I wouldn't, like, I'm not gonna defend, because I'm not gonna say, what the situation. I just agree with him that, like, if that's the case, then maybe 10 years reporting. I don't think for the rest of your life you have to say, "Hey, I'm a sex offender."
Yeah. No.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you didn't touch anybody, I don't believe. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's your time, and for the next 2 years, report. I don't want to report. I'll do it in prison. Okay, well, then when you get out, you're good. Instead, he's done about 12 years in prison because he doesn't want to report. But they say you have to report for the rest of your life. So in his mind, I didn't offend. I didn't. But anyway, I mean, that's where he's stuck. But him, I mentioned Cole, who had a ton of girlfriends. And I remember Cole so much because he got out. I think he had caught a murder charge. He ended up doing Fed time. I'm going to get his name for you. He went to jail. His bond was $5,000. I was about done with him. Cole was a horrible dude. That's why I can't believe you can't remember. When I give you his name, you're going to remember him. We're going to look him up in the BOP. I can't remember if Cole was his first name or last, but he was a
white guy?
Black. Light-skinned black dude. Kind of looked like Mello. And for robbery, he had guns. his name involves Cole, but I don't remember if that's his first name or if his last name.
Not Coleman.
But I know no, not Coleman. I know exactly where to find his name because it's in Madison's paperwork. So I'm gonna go look that up and give you his name so you can look him up and be like, yeah. Well, he had a ton of girlfriends. Like he gave us a girl that was giving us names from T-Mobile, and she actually got Fed time
because of that.
because of that. Yeah,
And she was supplying them.
she was giving us the names.
How many,
that's a
how
whole
many
lot.
you think? How many you think?
How many? What?
How many names you think she gave up?
They said about 100.
So they were able to.
Oh
she
man,
just
and
wasn't.
she gave us like AA. She worked for T-Mobile here in Tampa, and she like they got A plus. This is the instant credit. This is where all the instant credit came from. We were nailing all the people at T-Mobile with instant credit.
that had the A. I remember something like that.
Yes.
I remember that because we knew ballpark how good their credit was. We didn't have LexisNexis came a lot.
LexisNexis was a guy named John I met in jail, and he could get a LexisNexis report. So we'd give him a name. He worked for a collection agency. We'd give him a name, and he'd print the report. It was where, listen, I had so much going on, it was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting, I had a dude that worked the corporate desk at Hyatt, and he was giving me corporate credit cards. I had like the
verification forms.
yes,
Yeah.
I had
All the info that they need. He was giving it at a very
at
affordable.
$100 a pop,
God, you're
and
overpaying.
he loved us because we paid.
Yep.
I got 15. Ooh, and Madison loved him, gay guy, but Madison loved him. Meet us. Had a boyfriend that was in the fraud department of Bank of America. Introduced me to some scam. Like wasn't me. I had everything going on at once. But here's what I want to say about Cole before we close out. What I remember about him, this is the one thing that comes to mind. I know he had a Spanish girl who had 3 bank accounts that when we got out, we hit with convenience checks. And that's how we got enough money to really get going. Because we put the $5,000 in her account. The bank said it's a 5-day hold. And the 5-day hold came and the money cleared and she gave us the money. And she split it in half, and then we did this. Here's how I remember Cole. He got arrested, and I thought he was a piece of shit, but he called me, and I went through, you did this, da-da-da-da. He go, man, I'm sorry. He go, man, you just can't leave me in there, man. My bond, $50,000. I just need $5,000. I wonder if it was 5 or 10. I think he needed $10,000. I just need $10,000 to get out, man. You can't leave me in here. Ba-da-da-da.
And people just think like you just made of money. I'll just go write a check and come up with this extra 10 grand for you.
Well, guess what I did?
Wrote a
I
check.
said, here's what I'll do. I grabbed a convenience check that had $25,000 out of the stack. I said, I'll write a check. He goes, my girl will put it in her account. A whole different girl. This dude introduced me to at least 7 girls. He had girls everywhere. I wrote her a $10,000 check. She put it in her account. Her bank says we're gonna hold it for 10 days. They held that check for like 2 weeks, 15 calendar days.
And it cleared.
And do you know what she did?
Gave you your portion?
I didn't want a portion. He bonded him out. It's one of those things, Six, where I wrote that check and overnight, you know what? I deposited it. I wrote that check and deposited it in her account.
With 0 expectations. You were just doing your due diligence. Here's my part.
Here's
for
what
helping you. This is what I can do. This should work.
I didn't even say it should. I said you would take a chance.
Yep, here's something.
You know, she go, oh, it's a 10-day hold. I'm like, well. Hello? Yeah, who is this? Hey, it's Cole. I'm out.
The fuck? Listen, detective. You're not going to get me like that.
No, he got bonded. Of course, I looked it up. He got bonded out.
Yep.
That check cleared, and she took all of that money plus $100 of her money and took that directly and bonded him out. That was the lure. That was, in my mind, I said, what does this dude have on his dick that all of these women So lay it on the line for him.
He puts watermelon seed juice on the tip.
On the
Yep, it's an old Nigerian method.
it obviously works.
Yep.
Oh, Cole, I'm gonna get his name just so people can look him up, see what he looks like.
And these, you need to start walking around with memoirs so you can start, because there are so many great points in that whole journey, that whole time.
Oh, that's just
that
part because I thought of
needs-
some other stuff. Yeah.
Well, that stuff needs to be documented, and expect the book, movie. But
But
we had
you know
some
what's so funny?
times-
We can't even timeline piece it together. It's so abstract in each one of our heads.
Yep. Yep. Because once we start to remember this,
Bro, you know, I have not had a thought about a convenience check. And when you said that, I'm like, oh my God.
yeah.
Like it
There's a $250,000 memory.
quarter. I mean,
Yeah. Well, we were banking.
I
on
haven't. Yeah, we,
something.
Chris and I.
Yeah. Oh yeah, our portion we were banking, but you had a firm toehold on that stuff before.
I had it to where, like, this is part of what her and I, Madison and I laugh about this because I guess they found out that someone had taken them and started depositing them in the account. Because you know what I was doing? I was opening up and then dropping them, and then they'd put a hold on it. Well, I found out that when a bank puts a hold on money, they first have to make it available.
Then put the hold on it. It like transfers electronically to these different departments. So this is why you were at those certain locations at 1, 2 in the morning.
At the post office.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh,
There'll be a line.
there's no more 24-hour post office anyway. This is when every city in the country had a 24-hour post office.
At the airport.
At the airport. And I would be at the airport post office.
On the phone, waiting until it cleared.
Well, the transition, and I don't want to say this was my impact, but I noticed that the transition used to be it would be available at 1 a.m. and then the hold would hit at like 3 or 4. And so after we start because then I'm killing them. You already know I'm opening up accounts.
Just to put something in and wait on it to put a hold on it. You should.
and then the windows start getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Because it used to be I could wake up at 1. Oh, it's not available yet. Call back in 10 minutes. Oh, it's there. Let's go. Hop in the car and go. Well, one time I hop in the car and go. When I get there, it's not available. Denied. What?
So now you're sleeping at the post. It's available. Swipe at the cash. What? No, not yet. You can go, ma'am. No.
Available.
Move, bitch. We are nerds.
Yeah, that's how it ended up.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty more stories, man. We got to come back here and
That is, we haven't even started making money. Like this is, where are we in this story? We are.
just in
I
the
just got
introduction of the people. Yeah.
Yep.
We,
So
we
I
haven't
had
talked about
just
the
got
rental cars.
Yeah, we haven't even started working. Like this was Kinko and his guy, and I went to jail. I got out. Oh, that's where I was. I had went to jail, got out, was supposed to wait the week, and I was like, yeah, no, I got to go to work. I had a Mustang back then, the Mustang convertible. You guys had been partial to calling me Flash. I think that was more. I think that was your name. That sounds like a nickname you come up with. And then I had went up there, but that'll be the next podcast. We'll get into that. With Mr. Zack, we're gonna go hop on over to Zack's page.
That's one of Madison's proudest moments when you came up and we showed, because I haven't really talked about the instant credit, but we'll get deeper into it next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So guys, listen. Thank you for joining. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It helps with the algorithms. We are in the business of being reformed. So this is the new brand. So tune in. Stay tuned, like and subscribe, all of that stuff, and see you later. Peace.
Peace.